Who remembers Australia's Wonderland in Western Sydney? In 1983, Sydney, Australia was home to more than 3 million people. Despite a wide array of entertainment options and a thriving arts scene, the city had only one notable amusement park. That park had opened under the name of Luna Park in 1935 and had operated for more than 40 years. After a tragic ghost train fire in 1979, the park was closed and mostly demolished, with some of its attractions being sent to the small Magic Kingdom Park just south of Sydney. Luna Park's ownership was changed and the park, now missing most of its signature features and attractions, reopened in 1982 as Harbourside Amusement Park. Taft Broadcasting's choice to expand its parks to Australia was far from random. Hanna-Barbera had created a studio in Sydney in 1972, and Taft operated the Australian division of CIC Video, a VHS home movie distributor. The children of Australia had a familiarity and appreciation for the Hanna-Barbera characters, and after conducting a thorough market research examination of Sydney, Taft was confident that a theme park would work well in the area. The park cost an estimated $65 million. Taft wanted the park to be smaller than its American counterparts, and they expected to rely on locals rather than tourists to visit the park. Some locals were concerned about the Americanization of the area, especially after hearing that the park was to be the largest in the Southern Hemisphere. The park, named Australia's Wonderland, officially opened on the 7th of December 1985. The park's management predicted 1.6 million guests would visit the park each year, and it would be open only on weekends and during school and national holidays. It would also be closed for winter from mid-May to early August.
Set sail for Australia's Wonderland!
Arr! Not one, but 3 lands like nothing you ever seen before.
Gold Rush Town to starboard!
7 dazzling new shows live on stage. The ever-lurking bush beast, none bigger or meaner, the wildest, wettest, snowy river rampage.
Hanna-Barbera Land!
Ahoy! A cartoon kingdom come to life. Bring a picnic, lovable friends, family fun that never ends.
Land of Medieval Fair!
Looky here! Bounty's Revenge. Ooh, the only ship that sails all the way over.
Yummy treat!
Daredevil pirates, spellbinding feats. 3 big lands, 1 low price. Nowhere else in Sydney be you finding all this. Australia's Wonderland. You gotta do it.
The Bush Beast was a main drawcard of Wonderland, and it reached speeds up to 90 kilometers an hour and heights of 30 meters. It was the tallest wooden roller coaster in the Southern Hemisphere at the time of its opening, and was the most visible part of Australia's Wonderland for people driving west on the Sydney M4 motorway. Wonderland's opening season was a huge success, and expansion of the park was quickly approved to ensure public interest remained strong. In 1988, Wonderland received The Beach, a water park that operated seasonally and adjacent to Wonderland. Wonderland guests could visit the beach without purchasing another admission ticket. In 1989, the double-lift Ferris wheel, the Zodiac, was relocated to Wonderland from Kings Island. In 1990 saw the opening of yet another park adjacent to Wonderland, the Australian Wildlife Park. The Wildlife Park was home to more than 600 animals, including dingoes, kangaroos, koalas, goannas, penguins, and crocodiles. The Wildlife Park heavily leaned into Australian culture, most likely for international tourists, and offered activities such as boomerang throwing, whip cracking, and serving billy tea and damper for all guests wanting to experience the outback without leaving Sydney. The Wonderland precinct was a perfect destination in the early 90s. Australia's Wonderland and its parks boomed, with even more shows and attractions being added. The Blinky Bill show, based off the famous Australian cartoon, was a hit with the kids, and the Rock and Roll Wrestling show featured legendary wrestlers and gave families the opportunity to win a lunch with a wrestler of their choice. Rides like the Demon and the Space Probe were added to the park, and a new themed area named Transylvania was created. Wonderland was so popular amongst the locals that weddings were even held in the park. In less than a decade, Wonderland had proven its naysayers wrong. Those who visited Wonderland had an overwhelmingly positive experience. The park knew what guests wanted and actively sought to provide fun, high-quality entertainment for the whole family. When Kiko Entertainment was bought by Paramount in 1992, Wonderland was the only park out of the original 6 Taft parks to remain under local management. In 1997, Malaysian-based Sunway Group acquired Australia's Wonderland. Sunway Group already owned theme parks around Malaysia, and it seemed as though it was poised to take Wonderland to the next level, and that Sunway Group would bring more rides and attractions to Wonderland, and possibly a full resort. Despite its popularity amongst locals and visitors, the park's new owners were having trouble breaking even, with the expansions and operating costs rising as the park now operated year-round instead of its initial seasonal schedule. In 1997, the park's name changed to Wonderland Sydney to coordinate with the Olympics coming to the city in 2000. In 2002, properties from Marvel Comics and Cartoon Network were brought to the park, and the welcome sign was revamped featuring Spider-Man and the Hulk. Popular Marvel characters now roamed the park, offering meet and greets and autographs, and a Powerpuff Girls live stage show was added. However, it soon became apparent that Sunway Group had no interest in expanding the park even further. In fact, the company began inexplicably shutting down whole sections of the park, using odd excuses such as efficiency studies finding that the park was too big. Some rides were closed or removed altogether. The kids' favorite roller coaster, the Beastie, sat dormant to the dismay of visiting children. Compared to the rapid expansion the park saw under Kiko, this was a massive blow to the locals and fans who were forced to watch their cherished local park crumble before their eyes. In early 2004, after a slow descent into disrepair, it was announced that Sunway would be closing Wonderland Sydney on the 26th of April 2004, bringing to an end 18 years of family entertainment. Sunway eventually sold the property for more than $52 million, with the land being turned into a business park. For a year, the park's abandoned rides were slowly removed or demolished. As the months went on, various attractions such as Bounty's Revenge, the Great Balloon Race, Galleon's Graveyard, Little Monsters Fly-In School, and the Broken Hill Mill Games Arcade were sold and moved off the property. The abandoned park was occasionally used by soldiers of the Army Reserve as a training ground. The worst part of the way in which the Sunway Group handled the park's closing was its lack of care for the animals in the Australian Wildlife Park. For months, former park employees were breaking into Wonderland Sydney to feed, care for, and rescue the animals that had been abandoned. In August 2005, the giant Bush Beast roller coaster was finally ripped from the ground and demolished. The Marvel superhero-themed front gate was detached and sold for $1,000 to a junkyard in Londonderry, where it remains to this day. The question on every Wonderland fan's mind was why? Why did this beloved park, in the height of its popularity, close its doors? Sunway Group gave many reasons: the September 11th attacks, the 2002 Bali bombings, the collapse of HIH insurance, the SARS virus, the bird flu virus, the Asian financial crisis, the collapse of Ansett Australia, the Iraq War, the 2003 bushfires. Basically, let's blame everyone but ourselves, while it was clear the Sunway Group's lack of updates and poor management sealed Wonderland's fate. So for now, Sydney only has the original, small Luna Park operating, and Australia's Wonderland remains only in our memories. Did you visit Australia's Wonderland when it was operating? Let us know your memories of it in the comments below.
Too much fun! Too much fun! Wonderland is too much fun.
Announcing the amazing Wonderland Saturday night special.
Come after 5 o'clock on Saturday and it's just $5.
5 after 5 every Saturday.
It's the best Saturday night value in town.
5 after 5 every Saturday night. Too much.
Wonderland is too much fun to have in one day. Hey!
Too much fun to have in one day.
Too much!